is Tammany Hall. What do you guys think of this one?
What the just happened?
I feel like that's a question more about what is wrong with all of us.
No, that is including this game.
No, I like.
I think it's more about what happened with how we played the game than what is wrong with the game itself.
So here's the thing that I think. I think it is a deeply accurate representation of Tammany Hall and how if you take power, you can hold on to it pretty well. I think that the game, this is a base game that I think is fine and interesting, because it's an interesting thing to play like villains. To play people that are like trying to... I would love for it to have like events of some kind. Or some sort of like, hey, here's the thing, now use your political power to spin it. Something, yeah.
Last week we did Pan Am, and it was like, you know, every year in game
there was a new
event like Pan Am's doing their stock price lowered, and then this happened.
Yeah. I love that idea.
Yeah. I don't think it would have made me win, but I would have liked it just for the flavor of the game. I think it would have been fun.
Look, this was absolutely a runaway victory. We all knew who was going to win by the end of the second term, arguably by the end of the first term. Really. We knew who was going to win. We knew
after the end of the second one, we're like, she's really walking away with it. We should probably do something about that. And then we didn't.
I threw all my slander tokens at Allegra throughout the whole game. I spread the slander, I think, twice.
Yeah.
I spent all of my political favor in that second election just trying to win wards that Allegra was in. Or make her spend political favor in wards I knew I couldn't win.
Which you did, and yet still, she's just devastated.
Yeah. So I did everything I could to stop her, and it failed miserably.
So let me tell you how...
And cost me any chance at gaining any points for myself.
The problem is...
You've
protected yourself well with those scavels.
Yeah.
Tried very hard. The problem is, I was gonna go after Allegra, but it's just gonna mean I'm gonna have to fight Kyle if I go after Allegra, which I don't really want to
I'm not necessarily there to fight on all of them. I'm just there to try and force her to spend some capital so that we can kick her out of some of these wards. I think this has the bones of a really good game, and I kind of don't want to give a verdict on whether I like it or not based on this play of it.
Yeah, because in fairness,
because it was such a runaway victory.
Yeah,
and I don't think that the game is that imbalanced. That's
no, not at all.
I think Allegra just
second game now it would be closer. I think Allegra would still win.
Allegra just drastically outplayed us.
I don't know if she'd still win.
I feel like as a game, again, as bones, it is good. I would just love more interesting things going on.
I love the idea of some event cards.
Like event cards are like, hey, you control this district, so now that comes with a bonus or something like that. Like, oh, you've got 3 of the 4 in this district, now you get, you know.
Right.
And again, I feel like we wouldn't need that as much if I hadn't
if you hadn't run away with it. Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I'm saying, if it had been a bit fairer of a game early on, we may not have missed that. Because I can see how,
I think I do
you
think
guys
it would
were
be
like, what can we do to actually?
I do think it would be an interesting wrinkle to add in something like event cards or just a couple of those little twists.
I think that's merely. I think also partially it's my preference for role playing in general. Like the idea is if we pick someone who had an ability at the top instead of it being assigned, it would be like, okay, now I can role play this strategy.
Yeah, so
this is the theme of this game really is not very integral to the gameplay at all. That's what I mean. That is not a mechanic that is tied to anything thematic. I don't think.
Is in the sense that it's not tied to the world, and I agree in that.
To the world more than anything. The electoral, the lobbying and all of that. That is sure okay. I'll grant you that. That is a thematic thing. But you could pick this up and put it. You could make it a woodland critter election.
Christian won't with the mice.
Yeah.
Look, I won't. They're adorable. They're just trying their best.
You could do something like that instead of Tammany Hall with the historical, elements of it.
Yeah.
Is there another version of this where certain districts and certain cultures don't come in until later? Because that's super interesting to me.
It's
not cultures, but you start.
It's it's during the setup. No Italians are on the board at the start of the game, no matter what.
Right.
Why do you think I aggressively
The
spaced myself
Italians,
for the Italians?
the Italians
Well,
have to come out of the bag and go to Castle Garden and get added from there.
Yeah.
There are more Irish on the board at the start of the game than anybody else.
Oh, okay.
Because they've been coming in.
Hopefully, but that depends on how many players you have. Because with a full table with 5 players, all 3 zones are active from the very beginning.
Right.
And over here are the starting immigrants counts.
Yeah.
Zone 1 gets the Irish have a cube on Tammany Hall. They have 1 more cube somewhere in the zone.
And then,
The English have 2, and the Germans have 2. If you only play with 3 players, that's
only start
all
with
you
it.
start with.
Damn,
Is that
okay.
first zone?
So then the other zones
Then
start being land grabs.
And then when you
Too.
get to the first election, then you would add the second zone, which gets 2 Irish, 2 English, 1 German.
And then the third.
And then the third election with 3 players adds
2
zone
Irish.
3,
1.
2 Irish, 1 English, 1 German.
No,
And with 4 players, you'll start with zones 1 and 2, and at the first election add zone 3. So
I can see this being a very different
I
game.
feel like, honestly, based on that, I feel like 3 players is the sweet spot for this
So
game.
that's the sweet spot if you're not negotiating as much. I feel like, again, our negotiation could have changed the game there, but that's
For
an
sure.
interesting idea that it opens up.
Then it-
And then it's a free land grab
Yeah,
where you could
yeah.
really turn things around if you're failing.
Right.
Yes, because like if I had one mayor here,
And there's
there
going to
would
be
still be a bunch of free space, so I could try to keep consolidating my power
Right,
around
you would
here.
have to
But you
defend
guys,
yourself.
I would be defending myself, while you guys could also spread out into more.
There's also going to be
Interesting.
there's also another thing to consider is with fewer players, there's going to be far fewer cubes added to the board,
Yeah.
Also true.
which could make those political favors a little different value.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the game with 5 players, it was kind of like whatever political favors you got, they're pretty much going to be useful to you in almost every board.
Yeah.
I could see 4 being an interesting sweet spot. As
Yeah,
well.
it could.
I
think 5 is too many for this game.
I think it works,
Yeah.
but I can see it again being a little.
Yeah, not too many to the point where it's not fun, but too many to the point like it's just not ideal.
I think
I had a ton of fun. I lost miserably, but
I had a blast playing it, even though we destroyed.
I think that if I hadn't slept and figured out the game compared to everyone so early on,
Yeah.
that it would have been a tighter race in general.
Probably.
But, again, I just did, I'm just going to be Italian. Oh, this is working.
Oh. Collect that check.
3, 2, 1. Hey! Make her spin those political favors.
That's fine. I can put
you
a
do
cube
get to
down
place a cube of your choice.
We know what I'm doing.
Find an Italian. There we go. So I do want to mention I looked it up. There are no expansions for this game, which that
Tammany Small.
honestly that coupled with the fact that it is no longer even listed on Pandasaurus' website tells me this game did not sell well.
I think the timing of it was certainly unfortunate.
I think
It's just a weird theme for a board game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know something too? I think there's also something to be said for, unless it had tabletop simulator support
in 2020,
in 2020,
yeah,
this game was doomed to fail because without that tabletop simulator support,
that's true.
more-
Newly published board games in 2020 was rough for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good.
So maybe it would have done a little bit better, but
Yeah.
the timing was awful both from a socio-political standpoint and also from a logistical standpoint.
I do think that it's I think it's a solid enough game that I would definitely play. I kind of want to play it again, just because I almost don't feel.
I need to prove it, baby.
I almost don't feel like I can form an opinion because I played so poorly the first time around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely play it again. I kind of feel like I almost feel like I would like to see a reskin of it that just takes it out of the historical context and does something else with it.
Bringing the villain is interesting.
That's
Like to be like, yeah, get the.
You could still theme it in a way where you are playing the villain,
Yeah.
just not with actual
No.
ethnic groups that really exist
That's
in a historical time period.
being like, I'm gonna kick the Irish out of here.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's a little gross. I kind of would like to see a retheme of it in a different,
I'd play that.
different, some fantasy.
There are. I'm trying to blank on the name of the game. Root, things like
Yeah.
that, like a Root version of this.
Root it's less political and more military.
It's military
But-
and resource.
Yeah, but you could set it in the Root universe.
Yeah,
can
you
set
absolutely
the Root
could.
universe very
Extended
easily.
universe.
Yeah.
But again, I will,
Root-iverse.
but then again, I will say that there are basic mechanics of this. Like again, the chief of police mechanic, no matter where you set this, is a move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a move, no matter whether it's fuzzy animal friends or actual thing.
I mean, the kicking the
But it's-
possums out
but
of
it is-
the fucking
it's-
forest is a little bit.
It is, yeah, it's far less offensive and
Yeah.
cringe-inducing when you're not dealing with actual people.
Oh no, 100%.
From a marketing standpoint and just a comfortability
Oh,
factor of
100%.
playing the game,
Yeah.
I think taking it out of the real world would make it a little more palatable.
That said, I'm grateful that at least even as early as 2007, they were like, let's set this in a time with ethnic groups that now don't have the same level by any stretch of marginalization.
Yeah, for sure.
Had this been set a little bit later and we'd actually seen like
dealing with
if this had been in World War II era and they'd
Yeah.
been like sort the Japanese around internment camps.
right.
it would've been like,
Yeah, that's real rough for sure. Danica brings up a good point. One of my high school history teachers would have 100% used this game as a teaching tool for this time period.
Yeah.
I do think there's absolutely educational value in this game.
I can see it, but also it doesn't really delve into a lot of the why. So I think it would be on
it would be on
teacher
it would be
to-
on somebody who's versed in the history to bring that educational value.
Yeah.
So that is Tammany Hall.
Hey, thanks for hanging out. If you want to spend more time with us, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, head on over to twitch.tv/BNB Tabletop and give us a follow there. We play board games live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a show we call The Board and Barrel. And we like to keep things interactive. You guys can influence what happens throughout the course of a game with our Buff and Nerf house rules. You can also make predictions on how things are going to pan out, play virtual bingo for a chance to win a free board game of your own, and heckle us and stuff from the chat. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you Sunday night.